Hey there, everyone. About 10 minutes till the market closes, but come on, Big Bear AI, you could do it. Resolve pumping back up as well. Ocugen still off to the races. Beam kind of lagging behind. We'll talk about that one as well. And then VERI, we'll take a look to see how that one's performing as well. Out of the best penny stocks to buy now, I got to say, it's been pretty darn incredible to watch and see. We'll also see how the technicals that I've provided play out, including an update on Nvidia and Palantir to see the marches that they've made off the support levels, and talking about the bounce that we should see and the levels that they were able to reach. And then, let's actually go with the cues first. You guys can join us over at the Discord, by the way. Links in the description, code word doctor when you sign up. I've been talking about 602.75 for a while now. Yesterday, we finally got there. This morning, I said, watch out for it. If we can't get above it, we're probably going to reject pretty hard. And we did. And on the hourly basis, it looks like quite a fall off. If we go back to the daily chart on this, however, ooh, that looks scary. Not so bad. Still finding support at the 5 EMA. Not bad for us, but this was always going to be resistance up here. And I said that Fibonacci extension level of 1, which is a pretty darn important climb for us. We can actually go back and we can see where that was. That was this drop that we had all the way down here. Back on April the 7th is where we had that following the Liberation Day tariffs, where we bottomed out from there. And that actually matches the run that we've seen. We got to go back quite a while, but the bottom that we had from October of 2023 up until the peak that we got in February pulled back down. So we were probably always going to get that little bit of a pullback. Today, there's some speculation that some of Jerome Powell's comments weren't well received from what we got. I don't know if this is the turning point yet. We don't necessarily have those signs that we're ready to turn things around. Nvidia, I talked about the support levels and what we could see. So you can see I have the support down here. We caught resistance up here for this first area, and I said up above that, we have room to run up to about 184. Well, just take a look and see what we got yesterday for Nvidia. As soon as we got that little wick peekabooing up over that, got a little bit of rejection, sold back down today. This, I can change that color coding from red over to green. Really solid on the technicals, which is what I really push in this channel so that you guys can find the places where you can do your buys, do your sells, all that kind of stuff. You know exactly where to look. And then also, if we go over to Palantir, I talked about the climb that we got on Palantir as well. Check out where we ended up peaking out today with the price action. That smooch right there, that high price that we got, 185.75, which is right exactly where I have that resistance area to the north. I said we would climb up there above 179 and certainly up above that 171 after we found that support all the way down here in this big fat area going all the way back to the 20th of August. So a little over a month later, off of this support, I said really super solid support down at the bottom of this. And man, we made, that was all the way down at 140. We made about a $43 climb since that point in time. So that's a really nice climb. That's like a 30% climb off that bottom. Big Bear AI, how did it do today? Well, let's connect this thing and find out. Look at this. I said if we make it up above that 735 mark, things should be very good for us, and they very much were. Came back, hit resistance up here, came back to support at 785. Now it's kind of dancing around a little bit, but check that out. As soon as we got my resistance area to the north, that's where things really got hung up for us. Let's change this bottom one down to support now that we're solidly above it, and we'll see if we retest that and if we're able to hold on to it even longer, which, mind you, the intraday charts, I picked up 34% off a trade from this morning. So what did we see this morning that made me take that trade? Well, we popped up above, came down into that support area. I'm like, now's the time, pulled the trigger, put the transaction out over at the Discord. So anybody who was able to see, hey, I bought this thing. Matter of fact, I bought a little bit early, pulled back a little bit further, wasn't too worried about it. I said, you got time, watch this thing for above 735. So let's go back to the chart and see what happens past that 735 mark. After it settled down here, crosses over the 735, closes above in this very next candle. That would be your trading candle right there. For me, I bought in when we were first back down the support area, figuring that it was going to be very solid support for us at that 735 level, and this thing really worked out. It pumped all the way up to about $8.22. And let's go even further, because later in the day, we pumped right into that resistance area just to the north on this thing. What does it look like on the daily chart? Let's reset and find out. There you go. There's that resistance area I was talking about the last time we were up at these levels. Once again, rejecting in that area. Just an absolutely astounding, incredible day to see that run. We've been tracking this thing since support all the way down below 5, and now it's north of $8. So NVTS, what's NVTS doing today? Well, after getting its rejection yesterday, it's flying down around here, down below that $7 support for us. We want to see it back up above 701 to see that push back up to the north. Where was that peak, by the way? 733. Where does my technical say that we're going to find that resistance? 733. Support further to the south. Look at all the lines that we have down here from 650 down to 625. If we push further south, watch for that catch on support down in this area, 625 to 650, and watch for that resistance now that we're solidly below 698 to 701. Just like I said yesterday, we have got to get on top of that if we're going to push further north. What does it look like on the daily chart? There we go. You can see a little bit more of that price action taking place on the daily chart. Bit of a sell today. Still got that bullish momentum, and we'll see where things close for us. Near term, we got to get back on 701. If we're not going to do that, watch for that retest, because we never did actually retest the 50 EMA on this thing. It says, as a matter of fact, with that 13 crossing of the 50, watch for that pullback to that 13, which coincides with that support area that I just had on the screen for you. Here it is. Watch for that to take place, because if it does, that could be our next pump zone. Keep the market bias on your mind in the background as we watch for this. If the Qs are going to sell off harder, if IWM for the Russell 2000 stocks is going to sell off harder, if Bitcoin is going to sell off harder, it's also going to lean or put pressure on the small cap stocks like Navitas Semiconductors, which is NVTS that I just had up for you, bigbear.ai, which I just had up for you, and Resolve, you name it, downward pressure on pretty much all the market. If the overall indices that we have, such as the NASDAQ 100, S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial, Russell 2000, if they're starting to turn red on us, that's a bearish market bias that's going on at least intraday or near the day. We want to keep an eye on that, see what's happening, because that could drag down some of our favorite plays that are out there as well. So let me put that back up for you, give an update on our friend Beam. So Beam retesting the 200-day. Man, just a woof kind of day. Well, what the heck, Dr. Stock? I thought this thing was going to run. Well, let's go to the weekly chart. This is going to be more telling for us. I said watch for a close above the 50-week at 288. Look at the high wicks that we're getting. This is a lot of pressure. The bulls are slowly taking ground. This is a good sign to see, but the bears are really holding firm. Anytime that we start to pop north of $3, the bears just, they claw it back down, rip it back down. And you can see currently during this early part of the week that happens to be the case. So we really want to watch for that, and that does go a long way with what we see also with the 13 EMA for the monthly chart. Just can't get above it. But if we do, if we get above that 50 EMA on the weekly chart, giddy up. Especially if we get above that 13, which is at 308, I think is what I saw on there, giddy up. If we're able to close up above there on a weekly and monthly basis, that could be a very bullish thing for Beam, especially given the higher volumes that we're starting to see, the more attention that's being paid to it. The bulls could take over at those price levels, and it could rip even harder north. So that's what I'm watching for. So let me put this back up here, and we'll close things off by talking about, let's go with Very just real quick, because this is very exciting for us. Talked about the movement we could see. Check out those beautiful crosses with the moving averages. The beautiful movement that we saw as well with the volume starting to taper now, pushing north of the 200 EMA on this thing. Absolutely gorgeous. Out of my best penny stocks to buy now. For Very, now we want to be very particular about what happens near that 200 EMA. It either holds a support and we can keep on moving, or it fails to hold a support and we got to check out what's happening back down at the 5 and the 13 on the weekly basis, drop down to a daily basis. This is kind of a change in behavior. Watch for signs of a reversal. If we can't hold that, that could show us back to down to the 5 or even to the 13, as this is a very bullish setup that we have right here. So we want to watch for that retest of those faster moving averages that are to the north up here. All right, let's go to Ocugen. Up almost 19% today, and look at that volume structure that we have. Absolutely gorgeous for that breakout moment. This thing up about 66% from that dollar mark that it was at not so long ago, taking us all the way back. How far back do we have to go? September the 12th, we were just north of it. Started talking about the best penny stocks to buy now. I believe on the 15th is when I talked about when we got that volume pop. Said this should be very good for us. I have the technicals here where you can see that trend line that we broke north of on September the 17th. And after a little bit of trouble, there's that next move, that next pump to the north. This could take us up to $2 plus. So very excited to see that for Ocugen. And then Resolve, 12.5-ish% as I talk about this. Look at that touch. I said above 671. Man, we're up there. I wish we had a 2-minute time frame to catch where it was at down here for this bottom part of the wick yesterday. And I said that is where I'm very interested in this. $1.60 later. which is incredible from where it's at right now. About 30% climb from where we were up to about where it's currently at as we get into the market close. We're in that last minute of it right now. That's a huge move, and we're back up above the moving averages. We've taken that 671 resistance. Watch out for that 779 all the way up to $8.45. We have a little bit of a reset with the momentum, especially on a daily basis. That monthly one is really what I'm looking at because we are just freshly up above 50 on a momentum standpoint for Resolve. And if we're able to keep this momentum going, we could test out this bottom one that we have here, this bottom pivot, which happens to be, let me see, it's at low price, $8.56. And north of that, we can make that climb that takes us all the way up from there to this other pivot that we have on this side, which is the first day or first month of it trading, I should say, where that low price was $9.34. So we could see that coming up in Resolve's future. It could be pretty darn exciting. Guys, I'm going to put out my transactions over at Discord. The other panel experts do the same thing. We're there to support you in your journey towards financial freedom and building alpha in your portfolio. Come on over and join us. See the entire ecosystem that we have. Join the thousands of members. There's live trading that happens on Tuesdays and Thursdays with Stockmo. Sometimes I'm able to join them. I am a school teacher, so I'm not always able to be there because it does happen throughout the day. So I'm kind of busy, don't make the most trades, but that's why there's an entire team of us to fill in those gaps. We'd love to see you over there. Thanks for watching. Code word Doctor when you sign up. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you next video.